race fans, Brian Eho here, the one and only Bert Lehman. Bert, happy 4th of July, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and happy 4th of July to you also.
Yeah, to all of our fans, and I'll be honest with you, a little disappointed. Puka's out having a good time. He's with the kids. He's at the lake. We're here. We're slaving away, right? We're here working. The show must go on while Puka's out there. Who knows what? You better be having a beer for us, okay? I know I don't really drink beer, but he can still have one for me if the kids let him. So, Puka, happy 4th of July, even though you're not here with us.
Hopefully he has better weather than what we had here, because it rained here most of the day. So
yeah. I know that I was in Superior, Wisconsin. Incidentally, okay, if you hate summer, move to Superior, Wisconsin. Perfect. It's like it was 50 degrees last night, Bert. Foggy, rainy, it's just gloomy. Absolutely the worst place on planet Earth if you like summer. If you hate summer, hey, it's for you. Check out Superior, Wisconsin. So episode number 136, of course, brought to you by Dirt Track Supply. And hey, just a quick shout out, Trevor Anderson, still leading the repairable vehicles Tri-State Late Model Series. Ran around the 5th place spot. I think he got a 5th and a 6th this weekend, if I remember correctly. Good points nights for him, so he's still leading the points. Was unable to get on the podium, unfortunately. Trevor, get back after it, man. Want to get you on the podium in those races. But congratulations to him. And racers, I mean, this is a time of year you probably have gone through a few parts already. Probably going to need some stuff fixed. Hopefully nothing major. But if you do, get a hold of Dirt Track Supply in Watertown, South Dakota. Ron and Trevor do a great job. They can get you anything you need. Safety stuff, tires, parts. I mean, you name it. Bodies. They do fab work. They build great race cars with the Aero chassis. Get a hold of them guys. They'll take good care of you. They've been doing it for a lot of years. Dirt Track Supply in Watertown. So you actually went racing this weekend. I did not. I drove by several racetracks. I got home. I got back in time probably to go to watch the features in Superior. I just opted against it. I figured I'll just watch online. I got back in town soon enough to do that. But let's touch on this. Where did you go this weekend? I know you took in a few races.
Yeah, I went to Outagamie Speedway in Seymour on Friday night for the Dirt Kings race, and then Chateau Speedway on Saturday night for their regular program.
All right. What, anything major stick out? Any drama? I know we're going to touch a little bit on kind of a recap of the week in just a few moments, but anything major stick out? I know you got one thing. Leave that for just a minute. Just hold on that one thing that we have. We have a top 5 moment, but we'll hold off on that.
Okay.
Other than that,
I was thinking what? Okay. No, I mean, no controversy or anything. There's some. Seymour was good. There's a lot of passing. By cars. But I'll get into that stuff later in the show when I talk about other things. So, but good racing. It was good to be at the track, and so I'll touch on a lot of things later, though.
Sounds good. Well, let's start with this. Let's start with our top 5 moments of the week, brought to you by our friend Brad Parson, and Brad's going to take good care of you. I mean, he's got all the egg products you need, and he's got the tools that farmers that you need right now. He's got those tools. 728 4 foliar fertilizer with chelated manganese, zinc, copper, and iron. And like he said, I talked to Brad. He said crops are behind. Crops are behind. We all know the winter we had in a late spring. Crops are behind. A lot of fertilizer was lost due to the heavy rains, the flooding, the wind. And the product that he has will boost crop health and increase your yields, increase profitability as well. And he says you can throw those products right in the current spray package that you have right now to give it a try. So get a hold of Brad Parsons, for racers, by racers. He said that he got the car started. He's about ready to get out and get some racing done. So hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. But give him a call. He'll take good care of you. So at number 5, Bert, let's go with number 5. There was a lot of close ones. Menominee had a good race. I'll touch on some of this in a little bit. There's a few that were kind of there, but I got to give some love to the Wissota Street Stocks again. And the high flying half mile over at the Viking Speedway, just another one of those epic battles between two veterans, Justin Vogel and Ryan Satter. Justin Vogelbert went from 6th to the lead by the time he got halfway down the back straightaway. Like everybody went down to the middle, just drove right by him. I'm like, oh boy, this one is flat out over. And there was a late caution there that bunched things up. Here comes Ryan Satter. They threw some sliders at each other, and I tell you, too little, too late. Satter got by him. Vogel got by him. They kind of swapped the lead, but Ryan Satter pulled off another win over at the Viking Speedway. Unbelievable race. Jump on to Dirt Race Central. Watch drc.tv. You can watch the replay. Great racing this past weekend at the Viking Speedway in Alexandria. Number 4, we're going to head up north. We're going to go to Superior, Wisconsin, to the Gondik Speedway. They had I think it was a 4th annual, I believe, could be wrong, but either way, it was a Great Lakes border battle, a doubleheader. Chris Steppen with FYE puts on that event every year. They had 5 classes of cars. Not sure about the 5 classes of cars, but I tell you, the best race of the weekend, the Midwest Mods on night number 2. So Cody Carlson put on just a beautiful move for the win. Skeeter Esty, who has multiple national championships, jumped in the Midwest Mod. He looked like he was going to probably be the guy to beat. He was cruising on the high side. Cody kind of tracked him on the bottom, tried to get by him, and then finally he said, you know what, I'm going to follow him. And I tell you what, it was just technical. It was just a thing of beauty to watch Cody Carlson. He got up behind Skeeter, he tracked him, he followed him, and he got right to him getting into 3 and 4, and he threw on the slider and took the win for the Great Lakes Border Battle, $1,000 payday. Great race by Cody Carlson in the Midwest Mods. Number 3, let's head over your direction, Bert. We got a little happening. What's number 3?
Getting back to Outagamie Speedway for the Dirt Kings race, the Wabam Dirt Kings late model series, and it was my lock of the week. Nick Avalink. My lock of the week was for Nick Avalink to turn the hat trick and win 3 Dirt King races in a row, and he did that. He started 3rd in the feature, and it was a high side dominant track come feature time. To give you a picture of how high side dominant it was, even Justin Ritchie was racing up on the berm up by the wall, and you don't see that too often because he likes to race
catfish, right? He's kind of catfish whiskers on the bottom.
Yep, yeah, he likes to race in the low groove. Almost everybody was racing up on the cushion. Nick was doing a little bit different though, because he would he was running the top all over the place early in the race, but then as the race progressed, and this is what I love about watching Nick race, but other drivers too, they search for the fastest line, and he was up by the wall in 1 and 2, but then he was driving in the middle in 3 and 4. So, he wasn't up on the cushion the entire, around the entire track. And that's what I love about racing, is when drivers start searching for the fastest way around the track. But like I said, there's a lot of passing. Taylor Scheffler started 6th and finished 2nd. Troy Springborn started 9th and finished 3rd.
That's a good run.
Yep. Justin Ritchie started 4th and finished 4th. I mean, he was 2nd at one point. He faded a little bit at the end, but Nick threw a slider on him once, and then Taylor Scheffler and Ritchie, they were throwing sliders back and forth for a lap or 2. So that was fun to watch. And Ron Berna started 14th and finished 5th. So there's a lot of drivers who moved up in the race, but in the end it was Nick taking three straight Dirt Kings races.
Nice. And there's a guy, I mean, we talked about him just a few weeks ago on the not hot list. He couldn't barely win a race. He didn't win a race until he got 3 in a row in Dirt Kings action. So congratulations to him. Number 2, let's stick with late models, but we're going to go to the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, and we're going to go down to one of my favorite tracks to watch, Bert. And I'll be honest, without live streaming, I never would have probably seen a race there. I've never been there. But Union, Kentucky, the Florence Speedway, I'm telling you what, it's the home of Josh Rice. It is flat out the Josh Rice show. I got to give myself a donkey award for not picking Josh Rice. Okay, I talk about Josh Rice at Florence all the time. I didn't pick him. He started 9th, and he was impressive, Bert. I mean, just watching him go through the field and then calculated sliders that he had and up on the wheel. Have you ever seen a driver that is that dominant at one track, as much so as Josh Rice?
Well, I mean, I've seen drivers who are dominant at a track, when they race, weekly, but to have a weekly racer still be dominant when the travelers come in, you don't see that too often. I mean, he's won this race now 2 years in a row when Lucas has come there, and he just missed winning a Lucas race. Was that also at Florence when he lost to Earl Pearson Jr. by like a half a second? And yeah, I mean, last week when the picks were being sent in and I looked at yours, I couldn't believe that you didn't pick Joshua, because I think you picked him last year for this race.
I did, and I got points out of that one. I surprised everybody, and this week I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go against the curve here a little bit and pick somebody else. Total donkey award to myself.
But I got 2 points out of it.
You did. But if fans, if you haven't watched this, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but jump on the Flow Sports, Flow Racing, and they have all the racing action now from Lucas. Of course, we'll talk about that in just a minute, but the Ralph Latham Memorial over at Florence, that place is just a gem of a racetrack. And don't they have the North-South 100 coming up in about a month, isn't it? Or right after the Superior deal, right after the USA Nationals, what is it, 75,000 to win that?
Yeah, I think so.
He's got to be licking his chops at that one. I mean, he gets excited about these $10,000, $12,000 paydays. We'll see what happens when 75,000's on the line. Josh Rice is the man at the Florence Speedway. And number one, we're going back to Superior, Wisconsin, the Gondikla Speedway. $10,000 to win with Soda Modifieds. And we talked about it last week, over and unders. They're going to be 30, 35 mods. I think they had like 47 mods, but really good field of cars over there. Great to see that. And a great race. The track was good. I typically like a little bit elbows up to watch, but I mean, there was plenty of passing. It never locked down. There was multiple grooves. And for his second time, the North Shore Nightmare, Jody Belfi, parked it in Victory Lane, took home the big check, $10,000 to win. And it was just a couple weeks ago. They had the Advantage RV Mod Tour there. And I think he got a really strong 82nd or something in that race. He even put on Facebook, I was trying something. I was testing for the border battle. Evidently, it paid off, because when it come down to it, he had a really good hot rod. Don Ishams was there. He kept ducking underneath them, and he just couldn't quite rotate the corner quite as good as Jody could. And quite honestly, a guy that was coming, but there was really no yellows. Ashley Anderson come from the fourth row to third, never really got close enough to mount a challenge. But big congratulations to Jody Belfi on that $10,000 payday. Kind of partial to the local guys winning, so one for the home team there. So let's jump on to our recap and analysis from this last week. And we'll start with you. Start with over in Eastern Wisconsin. You said you went to Seymour and Shawano. You can mention if there was anything else that went over there, if there's anything major upcoming. What's happening over in Eastern Wisconsin?
Yeah, I pretty much covered the late model stuff at Seymour, and Plymouth did not race this weekend because the NASCAR series was at Road America, and because of the proximity, it's just actually I believe the fairgrounds where the racetrack is like a shuttle point, so you can park at the fairgrounds and be shuttled to Elkhart Lake to watch the NASCAR race. So they don't race this weekend. But unfortunately, Justin Ritchie was the only traveler from Plymouth to come to Chateau Speedway. Unless it's a Dirt Kings race, those drivers just don't travel. It is what it is. Maybe it's the gas prices. I don't know. But anyway, Ritchie was there, and he made the best of it and won the late model feature. So he gets the victory there. And so, he got a fourth and a first over the weekend. Jaden Schmidt got the win in the IMCA modified feature. If the name sounds familiar, he was one of the drivers I said to watch for this year. He's a rookie in the modified division, and he's won several features already, not just at Shonell, but he's won features at other tracks too, I believe. Cole Zarneski won the IMCA Sport Mod feature, and this was only his third appearance at Chateau Speedway. Normally he races 141. He was a rookie last year. He raced Chateau one time, I believe. He's actually on the cover of the Full Throttle magazine that's going to be coming out this coming week, because earlier this year at Luxembourg Speedway, he won 2 features in one night. He won the IMCA Sport Mod feature and the IMCA Stock Car feature in one night at Luxembourg earlier this year.
Nice.
So he got the win. What's that?
I said, nice. It's hard enough to win one feature. You get 2 in one night. That's
yeah,
something to be happy about.
The interesting thing about him is, a lot of racers, they start off young racing go-karts and stuff, but he didn't race go-karts. He just a couple of years ago, he just started racing sport mods. And he's progressed really fast. And Travis Van Straten says, don't forget about me, and won the IMCA Stock Car feature. Last week I had said that it looked like his streak of championships at Shonell might be coming to an end this year. I think entering the night, he was like 12 points behind, but there's 2 drivers ahead of him. But both drivers that are ahead of him in the standings finished in the top 5, I believe. So, he really didn't gain many points. So that's going to be a fun battle to watch.
How close is it? Is it pretty close?
I think Travis was like 12 points back. So you have 3 drivers within 12 points.
Okay.
And talking about points racing in the IMCA modified division, Tyler Sobieschek, he was leading by I think 3 or 4 points in the IMCA Sport Mod division. Had to pull off midway through the race, so that's going to really hurt his quest for a title. And then in the 4-cylinder division, Lucas Hacker got the victory. So those are the winners from Chateau Speedway. And actually, before we started recording the show, I went on Facebook to look up something, and just realized that the late model feature at Chateau Speedway on the 9th of July, which is this coming Saturday, is $2,500 to win. So if there's any late model drivers in Western Wisconsin that want to race for some extra money this weekend, and if you're not traveling, is the Rumble this weekend?
It is.
Yeah. So if you're not going to the Rumble, go east, and you can race for $2,500 to win.
Yeah, we'll find out. Are they afraid of Cole Steering and Company, or are they afraid of Nick Anvilink and Company? Hey, when the money's on the line, you can't complain about payouts when you don't go to race for money, right? It just is what it is. You got to go when there's an opportunity to get a nice payday, make the trip over there, because it's hard enough to put those shows on as a promoter. Support them when they happen, right? So that's the way I kind of look at it. So lots happening in eastern Wisconsin. And Bert, let's get over to my neck of the woods. So last Monday was night number 4. Night 1 rained out, so technically night 3, the Mountain States Modified Tour out in Sheridan, Wyoming. And Troy Liker, sorry Troy, not Tony, Troy Liker won the first 2. But Matt Heinzerling, who's been very strong this year, he's got several wins already. He parked it in victory lane for the finale. The actual championship of the series went back to the Liker family. This time it went to Troy. Last year it went to Tony. And Jeremy Castro, right? He has a Zuli underneath the hood. I don't think he does have a Zuli. I keep getting this wrong, but he's got an Aero chassis is what he has. But Jeremy Castro parked in victory lane again out in Sheridan. So great racing out there. I got to get out to that place at some point. Now, this week's it started on Wednesday, 4th of July. There's races going on tonight. We'll cover them on next week's show. I know Huron's racing. Jamestown started something here this week. But the Thunder City Speedway over in Thunder Bay, Wednesday night racing action up north of the border. Midwest Mods, it is unbelievable how many Midwest Mods they get. Low car count and everything else, 7, 8, whatever. 37 Midwest mods on regular night racing up there. I mean, it's crazy how many cars they get. And Tanner Ulakovic in the 86A got it done. He parked it in Victory Lane. So I looked, I'm not sure. This might be his first Midwest Mod Feature win. I tried finding that. I think it might be, but congratulations to him. In the super stocks, Cole Chernosky, 4 for 4, parked it in Victory Lane again in the 33C. And in the modifieds, there was a for sure first-time winner, John Topazzini, who has made several trips down to the Hibbing Raceway, down to Superior, the T23, his first career feature win. Huge congratulations to Topazzini. Good to see him getting it in Victory Lane. Got to be honest, cool to see a first-time winner. Kind of anxious for Joel Kreiderman to find Victory Lane in that modified, right? And just, it's like he hasn't quite been there yet, but let's see if that 51 can find Victory Lane. Also on Thursday, the ABC Raceway over in Ashland, they had a rescheduled event from earlier this year that rained out, the Farm Stock Special, 4 classes. They had their own 6-cylinder class, a local deal they have. They had a really good field, though, of Midwest Mods, Super Stocks, and Modifieds. And I'm going to come back to the Midwest Mods because that was the best race of the night. The Super Stocks, so 1,200 to win. It's one of those opportunities. You know, it's an opportunity where Shane Sobraski and Spacek, right, got to be side-by-side battling for the lead. So Terrence Spacek has been top 3-4 driver in Lesotho in the Super Stocks. And it's cool to see him get that opportunity against a 7A. Nothing for him. Shane Sobraski flat out checked out in the 7A yet again. That car is just almost unbeatable. That thing is just on a rail going around the racetrack. The modifieds, a rare appearance. Remember, the USMTS was off, right? So Dan Ebert was up because he was, of course, running the border battle. But Rodney Sanders made the trip up to the ABC Raceway, and he went over to the Gondik Law Speedway. So Rodney Sanders, right, running in Wissota modified action. I thought that was pretty cool. But in the feature, Dan Ebert was just smooth and steady as could be. The bottom come in, and he just got that 60 to rotator on the bottom, come from the 4th row, parked it in Victory Lane. Rodney Sanders was running second. Something broke. I'm not sure what happened. I couldn't find it. I don't know if he got a flat tire or some kind of issue, but he ended up pulling right off of turn 1. Spacek, Cole Spacek, kind of mounted a little bit of a challenge. He was looking pretty good. Him and Sobraski kind of got to Ebert in lap traffic. Dan was just keeping it steady right on the bottom, really not pulling away. Kind of latched down in the mods because every time that one of them two, Spacek or Sobraski, would go high, the other one would go by on the bottom. It is what it is. But the Midwest mods, unreal race. So Michigan native, so a little shout out to our buddy Jeff, right? Another Euchre, right? So we got Marcus Dunbar. He parked in Victory Lane, but the best car, Brandon Jensen had the best car. He had the best car, should have won the race, had a big lead, got into lap traffic. And you know what they say, you live or die by the high side, right? You know, the high side's for selling t-shirts, the bottom's for cashing checks. And Brando was running the high side, and it just went away. And they caught him. He got in a lot of traffic. They drove by him. There was a yellow late. And on the yellow, Dunbar's leading. And Brandon Merworth, who's been fast, was next to Brandon Jensen on the restart. They come into turn 1, and Brandon Merworth did the old people's elbow, right, to Marcus Dunbar, shoved him up the racetrack. He got in the lead, threw a big block on Brandon Jensen in 3 and 4. I'm like, holy shit, he wants this one bad. And while all that was happening, Dunbar went right back down around the bottom and chose a photo finish at the line. Great racing action over at the ABC Raceway. Now, let's head over to the Grand Rapids Speedway. They had the NLRA late models in action. I'm going to start with the Midwest mods. Tyler Kittner, he got it done from the 4th row. Impressive. I mean, that's probably the best I've seen that car all year. Could move around high, low, middle. Didn't matter where he went. He drove right to the front. In the late model action, rookie Dave Flynn led a lion's share of this race. He looked really good. Started to fade a little bit at the end. Rick Nemi got up in the mix. Flynn actually, I don't know if he's running first or second when it happened, but he about spun out. And he went down through the infield. He lost some spots, just a rookie mistake by Dave Flynn. I think he's going to get over them rookie mistakes because he's won a lot of races in the supers. But Rick Nemi got in the battle. He got sideways at the end. But Jeff Provenzino, and looking here. I don't have where he started, but it was, I think, second or third row. He looked really good. You know, he drove right by them guys. He went up, he was diamonding 1 and 2. He could run the bottom wherever he wanted in 3 and 4. And he got a second win of the year, and probably the biggest payday he's gotten in the last few years, because it was an NLRA special. Rookie Kevin Burdick got second. One thing that surprised me, Bert, NLRA, they usually travel really well. There's only 7 NLRA cars. Brad Singh wasn't there. Dustin Strand wasn't there. Not sure what the deal was. And got to be honest, we're going to talk about this guy in a little bit, because the reigning champ of the NLRA, Struggle Bus. He did not run good. We'll talk more about him in just a little bit. Okay, we'll get back to him. So, KRA Speedway over in Wilmer, the Wolverine, Justin Vogel, drove right by Braden Brower. If you remember correctly, I said Braden Brower, that was my pick to win the national championship in the Wissota Street Stock, right? I got to be honest with you, he ain't my pick anymore. He's not even fast. I mean, he's a good driver. That car sucks. I don't know what's wrong with that car. It's terrible. Okay. Midwest Mods, Jake Smith just keeps on winning. I mean, he's got a pile of wins. I think he's to 11 now on the year. So he's got a good year going. Super Stocks, Dexton Cook got it done. That's his 8th of the year. And in the modifieds, the Millennial Farmer, YouTube sensation, Zach Johnson, got his first of the year in the 6X. Then over in Wishick, North Dakota, Tri-County Speedway, Luke Johnson got it done in the street stocks. And in the Midwest Mods, Brendan Waite started front row next to your reigning Wissota Midwest Mod national champion, Lucas Rodin, and he outdueled him. He kept Lucas Rodin out of victory lane, so Brendan Waite with a strong win over in Wishick. Victory Lane Speedway, let's go back north of the border. A couple perennial powerhouses, national championship contenders. Midwest Mod Ace, Austin Hunter parked the 44 in Victory Lane, and the modifieds and the late models went to former national champion and the modified driver, Ward Emery, getting it done. Boy, he's tough to beat up there. He's strong everywhere, but you go up to Winnipeg and beat Ward Emery, you're doing something right. Black Hill Speedway out in Rapid City, South Dakota. $1,250 to win for street stocks. They rescheduled a race that rained out a couple weeks ago, and the 22 of Troy Murner parked it in Victory Lane with that one. And Matt Heinzerling continues a super strong season, his second win of the week in the 22. And they had the High Plains Late Model Series out there. They had 3 races. Night number 1 at the Black Hill Speedway, Eddie Kirchhoff, he swept the whole weekend out there, Bert. You know, we're used to him winning those races in Gillette with 4, 5, 6 cars, 15 late models there. He still got it done. So Kirchhoff tough out in Gillette. Brown County Speedway, Aberdeen, South Dakota, street stock action, couple Zuli engines up front in this one. Jaden Christ and father Billy Christ 1, 2 in street stock action. Midwest Mod, second generation driver Dawson Zabel parking it in Victory Lane. Super Stocks, 9th straight win for Mr. South Dakota, Trevor Nelson. He just kicks everybody's ass out there. So we're gonna have to see if we get him over east. I'd like to get Sobraski out there. That's what I want to do, right? Because it's not fair him coming over east and racing against Sobraski on his home turf. I want Sobraski to make a trip to Aberdeen and go race against the 71. I think it'd be a good race. Modified division, they had a makeup feature and a regular feature. Superman Mike Stearns parked in Victory Lane, started up front in one, started 4th row in the other, and drove by Ames, Arment, and I believe Matt Gilbertson was there too. So I tell you what, Mike Stearns getting her together in that MB. And in the late model division, Chad Becker appears ready to rumble in the 12V. Another thing that impressed me at Brown County, Bert, in their 5 Wissota classes, full car count in all 5. This is one of the few tracks that gets over 16 cars in all of their classes. So they had a really good field of cars out in Aberdeen. Now let's head over to Chateau Speedway over in Lansing, Minnesota. Jake Smith again. You just never know where this dude's going to end up. He could literally be in Western Minnesota, Southern Minnesota, Wisconsin. You don't know where he's going to go. He travels everywhere. But Jake Smith getting it done from 5th. Tri-State late model action. We touched on that a little bit. Friday, they were at Crawford County. Saturday at Park Jefferson. And Josh Leonard won night number 1. Justin Zeitner night number 2. Like I said, Trevor Anderson still leading the points. Now, let's head over to the Eagle Valley Speedway. Kind of had a little bit of a discussion last year, right? With Eagle Valley and Menominee racing head to head. Okay, because they're right next to each other. I even gave a donkey award to the Eagle Valley Speedway for taking Fridays. Okay, they're winning, Bert. They're winning this battle. They're winning. 96 cars and a great crowd at Eagle Valley. 58 cars at Menominee. Yeah, I tell you. So, and you know, you look at not just the car count, but the crowd. It's working. It's working. I'm disappointed for Red Cedar. I don't know what the hell they're doing. The track's been good. It's been racy, but so I'm surprised that a lot more people are going to Jerry's World. In the street stocks, youngster Cole Richards absolutely curb stomped him. He drove away from the field. This race on Dirt Race Central, and I was able to jump on and catch the features. In the B mods, Brady Larson getting it done. Brady Larson, Zuli race engine, by the way, Bert. He got it done, held off Les Dolman and Nick Kaler in the Midwest mods. 20 super stocks in action. Dan Nisulke in the 22, held off Terrence Spacek in the 22T. I don't think Dan's got that. He won, but I don't think he's got that thing figured out yet, right? He's got a new car this year. The old one, I think, is a little quicker. Terrence Spacek was quicker. He would get to him, but he couldn't get by him. So great run for Nisulke, but Spacek looked strong again. And in the modifieds, Mike Truscott absolutely just on a rail in the 22. Emo up north of the border, Emo, Ontario, Canada. They had a doubleheader, the race for the fallen, they called it. Midwest mods, night number 1, Garrett Paul. Night number 2 went to Brandon Rehill. And in the modifieds, night 1, Matt DePirio. And night 2 to my little buddy Cameron Brown. Great to see him. Cameron, get your butt back down to the Grand Rapids Speedway. We want you guys there on Thursday nights. Now let's head over to the Gallatin Speedway up in Belgrade. Pretty neat track. I watched some video on Jeremy Castro's Facebook page. It's a nice place, Bert. I've never been there. I got to get a load out west because Bo Brown said I can maybe hop in his car. But Rex Feller parking the 87 in Victory Lane in the street stocks. And then, of course, the Gondikla Speedway. The big race this weekend in Wissota action was the Great Lakes Border Battle. 2 complete shows for Midwest mods and for supers, 10,000 win for the mods. In the Midwest mods, Ryan Savoy made it 3 of his last 4 at the Gondikla Speedway. Impressive in the 16. But here's how good the track was. Night number 1, Cody Carlson, 11th to 2nd. Andrew Inman, 19th to 4th. Really good race in action over there. The super stocks, Shane Sobraski won night number 1. Like I said, 47 mods. 47 mods. Now, night number 2, Cody Carlson put on a show, a last lap passer on Skeeter Esty, just calculating. Great move by him. In the super stocks, Bert, the super stock feature, I got to give a donkey award to the flag guy. Flag man at the Gondikla Speedway, donkey award. This was an absolute amazing race. I'm talking side by side for the lead. Then he went ahead, he threw the green flag. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Threw the green flag, it was over. Sobraski just absolutely destroyed him. It was good till then. I mean, they were all side by side on the parade lap, and then he had to go ruin it for everybody. I think Sobraski is all but unbeatable in that super stock because I mean he just made them. And again, Dexton Cook and some of the top guys there. It's just he's playing chess, and everybody else is playing checkers in the Wissota super stock division right now. And in the modified division, we talked about it, Jody Belfi. And now we'll talk about another little incident that happened here at the Gondikla Speedway, but we'll save that for just a little bit. Now, let's jump over to the I-94 Sure Step Speedway in Fergus Falls. 107 cars over there, Bert. Great field of cars in Fergus. Street stocks, Kyle Dykov. I'm telling you what, Bert, I picked Braden Brower to win the points, but if Dykov can keep it together, if he can keep his head, if he can minimize the mistakes that cost him last year, he has the fastest car in Wissota street stocks right now. That 11 car with a Zuli underneath the hood is absolutely on a rail. Midwest mod action, Nick Hoffman's little brother, Matt Baker, took advantage of a few mistakes that Brock Grunwald made. Again, you live or die by the high side. Grunwald charging it up high, jumped the cushion one too many times, and Matt Baker drove by him on the bottom. Now, if you look at Matt Baker's car, look it up on Facebook. Maybe our buddy Mason here can find a picture and post it. It's unique, right? He's got the full aero package in a B mod. I mean, everything's to the limit. It's very interesting looking, but that thing rolled the center of the corner and he just drove right by him. In the modified division, only 9 cars, Bert. But if I said there was only 9 cars, would you believe that if I said, what a race, what a race? I'm talking 9 cars. You only need 2 to have a good race, right? They had 9. It was side by side at the end, and Dusty Bitson holds off a late charge from Brady Gertis. And I'm telling you, it was a Donnybrook at the end. I mean, he was right there, photo finish. Very good race at Fergus Falls. And in the late models, Danny Vang, who I'm going to call him a rookie because he jumped in a late model at the end of last year, but he actually won one earlier this year at Fergus. He looked really good again. He led a big chunk of that race, just rolling it smooth around the bottom. And here comes the SSR of 15, Ryan Michaelson, carving the high side like he always does. Drove right by him on top. Vang actually caught him and kind of made a couple late challenges there. But Ryan Michaelson looked really good. A nice smooth run for Danny Vang as well. You talked about Seymour there in the Dirt Kings. Let's go to the Red Cedar Speedway. I mentioned it, 58 cars, super disappointing on the car counts, but some good racing, some very good racing. In the street stocks, Colby Keel, I believe it is, Christmas came early, Bert. He had the lead, and Jeff Nowak put a beautiful move on him. He kind of did that, poked it to the outside, and diamond it coming off 2. He took the lead. Yellow come out. Never got another chance to make a really good challenge. The door did not open again. Colby Keel got it done, but Nowak really had a good hot rod. In the Midwest mods, for 8 Midwest mods at Menominee. 8. Now I get it, right? They had a special at Eagle Valley. They had a special up in Menominee or up in Superior at the Chateau Speedway, but they only had 8 Midwest mods. This almost made my top 5. You could have taken a blanket and literally put it over the top 4. They were side by side and literally 3 and 4 wide for the lead for 3/4 of that race. It was really good. I'm talking multiple lanes of racing. And at the end of it all, Shadow Kitchener, who's got a couple on the year already, parked it in Victory Lane. Great run to him. Super stock action, couple hot rods there. If I said Menominee super stocks, who would you say won?
Radetzky.
Radetzky's been the man there for the last couple of years, right? I tell you what, I don't think he is anymore. He's still fast, but Ben Hillman beat him to the front. They both started 4 or 5 rows deep. Hillman got the lead, actually checked out the yellow come out, and then Radetzky kind of stayed with him after the yellow and broke. I don't know if it was a motor. I'm not sure what happened, but he ended up pulling off. But Ben Hillman has 3. Jesse Radetzky has 2. That is going to be a good battle all year long. And remember, Radetzky broke, right? So that means he's going to start ahead of Ben Hillman at the next one. So let's see if they can tie it up this week. In the late model action, Jimmy Mars back-to-back at the Red Cedar Speedway. What a shock, right? Good race, though. Pat Dorr was there. Uninspiring. Pat didn't look really good. It's not his favorite track. I think he's a little disappointed. Superior didn't have late models. He's really good there. Struggles a little bit at Menominee. But he had Jimmy Mars pass Sam Mars, and coming for the white, Sam Mars threw a big move to the inside of Dad and slid across the black a little bit, and Dad checked out. But Sam was there. Really good run by Sam Mars, too. I'm looking forward to a passing of the torch where Sam starts being the one winning all the races. River City Speedway up in Grand Forks. Aaron Blacklands in the street stocks, Zuli race engines. Midwest mods and late models, Bert. Lance Schill just keeps on winning up there. I wasn't going to say this, but I've had a few people text me, and there's some questions going on about Lance Schill. There's some questions, okay? He's quick. He's fast. A couple weeks back down at the Fiesta City Speedway in Montevideo, he was disqualified, and it sounds like it was maybe the rumors have it, my sources tell me that it was a refusal of tech. He got DQ'd, and he's still racing. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure how that. I think there's some questions that need to be answered, because if I had some Midwest mod drivers from up in that area message me and they're like, how the hell is he still racing? I don't know all the answers. Maybe we can find out from somebody over at Mon. Now, let's head over to the Deer Creek Speedway. Speaking of techie, right? In the Midwest mods there, multiple disqualifications in the Midwest Modifieds and the heat races. So you got your lower trailing arms on a Midwest mod, the left one and the right one. They have to be within so many degrees of each other. You can't have one way up and one flat. They got to be within 5 degrees. From what I understand, they measured bar angles on these cars, and there was multiple. I think 4 or 5 Midwest mods in the heat races had too much variance in their angles. And that's what kind of keeps the racing good, is when you kind of keep it where you're taking the technology out of it and say, here's where they are. And they nabbed them. So hats off to the Deer Creek Speedway for teching something most tracks do not tech. The drivers got it fixed. They went back out. And at the end of it all, Adam Martinson, Bert, Zuli race engine, parked it in Victory Lane, his first win at the Deer Creek Speedway. And Braden Brower, no matter how bad I think that car is, he's still the man to beat over at Deer Creek. He got it done in the 34 Junior. Gillette, Wyoming, Gillette Thunder Speedway, Midwest Modified action, Liker 1-2. This time it was Tony in the 18. Troy got second. So they're back in action. We'll see if them Fab 18 cars can be out the rest of the year. We'll see. And in the late models, the High Plains Late Model Series, Eddie Kirchhoff, 6 for 6 in the late model on the year, including 3 for 3 this weekend. Greenbush Race Park up in Greenbush, Minnesota, street stock action. Jerome Berger. It's been a couple years since this guy's won, but he parked at Victory Lane. And in the Midwest mods, Aaron Blacklands with his Zuli race engine. In the modified division, this is a bull ring, Bert. The 1 TPO, Tyler Peterson from the 4th row. He's fun. You get him on them small bull rings. He's fun to watch. So great run for TPO. And NLRA late model action up there, the 5E, Shane Edgington from Canada getting it done. Remember, he was runner-up last year in the NLRA championship race. He could be the guy to beat this year. Gresseth struggled. Looked like he got 7th. I think he got like 10th at Rapids. It was just not good. We'll talk about that just a little bit. Madison Speedway, Bert, Madison, Minnesota. Kyle Dykov, another one for the 11. Jamie Thorstad, 2nd straight win in the Midwest mods. 4 supers, Bert. 4. Unbelievable. 3 finished, 4 raced. I guess that's better than the 2 that finished a couple weeks ago, right? But Ryan Flotten, 3 of his last 4 at Madtown. And Brian Hobbin from the 3rd row, his 4th of the year. Miller Central Speedway, Andy Rosso in the street stock divisions. Lauren Johnson, the dirt doctor in the Midwest mods. No Trevor Nelson at Miller. I'm not sure if he had some other obligation or what was going on. Surprised not to see the 71 that left the door open. Blake Whitlock, his 2nd of the year. 5 modifieds, Bert. Only 5 mods. Mike Stearns, his 3rd win in 2 nights. And Josh Gorcheski in the late models. There's a sleeper. He's a sleeper for the Rumble coming up. That 2 West, that Rocket has been very good. That's his 5th of the year. Rice Lake Speedway, Bert. A little bit of drama there. A little bit of drama in the street stocks. So Cole Richards, who was unbelievably fast at Eagle Valley, he led a good chunk of the feature at Rice Lake. And folks, you make the call. You can watch the video. It's on Dirt Race Central. You make the call. But coming down the front straightaway, Sean Amundsen and Cole Richards made some contact. Richards up against the fence, come down into 1 because he was still out of control, got sideways, parked in the infield, no yellow come out. Sean Amundsen goes on to win. We got the Little Dream coming up. Remember last year it was like the Battle Royale up there in the street stock division. These guys will flat out beat the shit out of each other for 200 to win. That's really exciting to see what they do for 20 grand. Midwest Modified action, fan of the show, Kenny Kincaid, 1st career Midwest Mod feature win. Congratulations. It's awesome seeing that person get his 1st win and really an uncontested win. He drove away. So not only did he win, he didn't like hold everybody up. He drove away from the field. So hopefully he can find another way to victory lane throughout the rest of the year. Super stock action. Taryn Spacek, he's I'm telling you, he's good. He's not Shane Sabraski good, but Taryn Spacek is very good. He threw a slider on veteran Rich Bishop and drove away. And in the modified division at Rice Lake, let's just be honest, it's about the same as Josh Rice at Florence. It's Buzzy Adams at Rice Lake. He is the man, the show at the Rice Lake Speedway, and he give him an absolute ass kicking again. Viking Speedway, we talked about it. Ryan Satter in the street stocks. Avery Anderson led the Midwest Mod feature for a big chunk of it. Travis Sauer was just too strong and drove by him. In the super stocks, Ryan Kostreba, he led a big chunk of that race and got a flat tire. Tough break for Ryan Koski, but looked really good in the 17, looked good in the heat. When that happened, Bailey Roche got the lead. Now, Bailey's dad used to pit for this guy right here, right? Oh, this side right here. Jeff Krause used to pit for him. Krause brought out the yellow that cost him the win. He hurt a motor and had to slow up. Yellow come out, and Trevor Sauer was just too strong at the end. It was a pretty good race at the end, kind of battled with three cars there, but Trevor Sauer getting it done. And in the mods, Brady Gertis had, I don't know, half a straightaway maybe lead, took the white flag, come through 1 and 2. It's like, okay, this one's over. I just about shut it off. Next thing you know, I see him slowing down. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Ignition broke on the 2X, and right at the end there, Dusty Bitson snuck by for the win, stole one from Brady Gertis. Tomahawk Speedway, Jeff Nowak with Zuli under the hood in the street stocks. Home of the Chicken Shack up in Bemidji. Jeff Reed held off a very strong Jake Smith. And in the super stocks and modifieds, the 7A made the trip to Bemidji. And he left not only with a full belly from the Chicken Shack, but he left with a couple more stickers parking in Victory Lane. You can watch the video. It's on Dirt Race Central. I'll just say that they were playing a little rough in the supers. He got inside, and this is kind of what I saw. You watch a video, you decide what you think. He got inside of Dexton Cook, and they got the big tractor tires down on the bottom, Bert. Dexton may not have squeezed him a little bit getting into one and kind of pinched him, and Shane kind of dynamited the brakes and let him go. And in the next lap, he just kind of drove off him. He's like, yeah, you ain't pinching me this time, young man. So Sobraski, a little bit of a you ain't messing with me type of move, kind of a little people's elbow there on Cook. Thought it was kind of cool, to be honest with you. Buffalo River Speedway up in Glendon. A couple years ago, Bert, they switched to IMCA. They had a WISSOTA night. 3 WISSOTA classes at Buffalo River. Man, I hope they can go back to WISSOTA. But in the street stocks, Dykov again drives by Braden Brower to get it done. Midwest Mods, Corey Stork, who's been very fast, just checked out. And in the modifieds, TPO, Bullring, Buffalo River, Tyler Peterson, it's over. He got it done. And I think that was his second of the week in the TPO. Lake of the Woods Speedway up in Kenora, Ontario. Hope they can get some more cars. 9 Midwest Mods, 4 mods. Brandon Rehill in the Midwest Mods, and Renee, I think it's Paloiko in the 73 from Manitoba. Sheridan Speedway, and this is the last one of the week for the WISSOTA cars, Bert. Chris Urasek, first career win in the WISSOTA street stocks. So that's pretty cool. So a couple guys out west, with first career wins over the last couple weeks. Chad Switzenberg from 8th in the Midwest Mods is 4th of the year, and Eddie Kirchhoff completing the weekend sweep of the High Plains Late Model Series out in Sheridan, Wyoming. So some great racing action this last week, Bert. I tell you what, it was fun. There was a lot of stuff happening. If you don't have Dirt Race Central, if you're a WISSOTA area fan, if you don't have Dirt Race Central, get it. Because there's several races every single week. You can go on there. You can fast forward through the yellows if you want to, right? You can watch all the replays, and you can catch that watchdrc.tv, the official, streaming platform of WISSOTA Racing. Ben and the crew, John, everybody, they do a great job. Lots of action over there, Bert. So this week, we'll just touch quickly on, we had some national events here this week, Bert. Some national events. World of Outlaw sprint car action over at the Cedar Lake Speedway. I know that you watched both features. What stuck out to you over at the Cedar Lake Speedway?
The first Friday night's feature looked like it was going to be a fairy tale ending, through much of the feature, because Donnie Schatz led a good portion of that feature, and obviously he was racing with a heavy heart over the weekend, but he wasn't able to hang on at the end and actually faded back a little bit, but it was good racing, and I don't have the winner written down. Was it Jacob Allen?
It was
yeah.
Yep.
And so it was nice to see a driver win that doesn't win all the time, that isn't always in victory lane. So that was cool to see.
And that even happened more so on Saturday, because I think Jacob Allen's maybe got 2 this year or 3 now. And but Brock Zierfoss got it done in the 3Z. Now, last year, I believe Brad Sweet doubled up at Cedar, right? So I picked him this year, and out of all of us, I'm just gonna say he got me the points. He didn't win, but do you think Brad Sweet is points racing, right? I mean, has he gotten a bit more conservative maybe in the last couple of years where, you look at Sheldon Hodgson, he's willing to take that chance and throw the slider and rip the fence down and all that. Sweet is more calculated. Do you think that as he's getting a little older, he's more points racing and not willing to take that big chance for a win? Do you see that with the 49?
I don't know if it's necessarily points racing, but I think it's just natural as you get older. You don't necessarily take some of the chances that you took when you were younger. You think a little bit more about it. You think of, I mean, although, on a national tour, it's a little different, but you think of all the work that has to be done if that chance doesn't work out. And so, that kind of goes into your calculation on whether you should do that or not. I haven't followed Sweet enough because I've really only started following World of Outlaw Sprint Cars in the last couple of years, since we've been doing the show. So, I don't know what his tendencies were before. I always thought of him more as a more controlled driver, where Sheldon, you think of him as a little out of control sometimes.
Yeah.
And Sweet, I think it was in, I don't know, it was in one of the features. I think it was Friday night's feature. Unfortunately, I watched him in not the right order. I watched Saturdays first and then Fridays. But anyway, because he was running second, and then he bounced off the wall on the last lap and actually fell to third. So that actually cost him cut some points.
that was a Saturday show. Yeah. But he's still, he still had a good points weekend. Of course, 2 podiums, a second and a third. He looks very strong. There was some drama at the Cedar Lake Speedway. So
well, before we get to the drama, I want to bring something up, and I've never seen this happen before. Okay. I think it was in Saturday night. Saturday night show. You had the fourth, fifth, or third, fourth, and fifth place car all go to the pits with flat tires. They cut down their tires, and that's kind of weird. Well, then it was, I don't know, a few laps later or something. I think it was right after the incident that we're going to talk about. The announcer goes, and we just got word over the radio that they have to remove a piece from the wall and coming out of turn 2. So I don't know if those cars caught whatever was in the fence, and if that cut down all the tires earlier.
Yeah, I've seen that, and I remember specifically Port Royal, right, where the leaders would be up on the wall so much that they're literally bouncing off the guardrail around the corner. So when that cushion gets all the way to the top, I have seen little chunks of the wall, or when there's a guardrail or a bolt or something sticking out where it starts tearing stuff up. You usually don't see a bunch of cars at one time, but they caught it. I mean, it was too late by that point.
Right.
Flat, but yeah, that's it don't happen often, but I have seen that happen before, and I've actually seen something sticking out far enough where it actually hooked a car and sent them cartwheeling too. So, that's wow. Running a racetrack's a lot of work, but I think after something like that, every track promoter should just do a walk around by all their walls to make sure nothing's sticking out.
Well, it's always funny because when I started going to Cedar Lake Speedway for the Wissota 100 with MJ McBride, we'd watch a lot of races, and we'd sit in the bleacher area in the pits, which is right by coming out of turn 2. Yep. And we so many times a car would get up into that wall, and we kind of started saying to each other, it's just like that wall just grabs the car. So, I always make the comment, a lot of cars have been grabbed by that wall rather than cars hitting the wall.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think mine has been grabbed by that wall a time or two as well. So, and I've even seen cars when the wall wasn't there before the wall, they'd get hooked and then they'd shoot right off the track there coming off of turn 2. So, I don't know if it's just the inertia or what, but you can really get whipping coming off of turn number 2. But unfortunate, of course, Sheldon Hadenchild got a flat tire, right? So he was one of those drivers that got a flat. And the incident we're talking about, we have a little clip here. The track, I guess it would be a series official maybe, that was pushing him in with the ATV and going fast and not really able to guide him or whatever. And he was rubbing Sheldon Hadenchild's car against the wall. So he's pushing him in the pits and the right side's bouncing off the wall. And next thing you know, it was one of Schantz's pit guys, I believe, that literally said, I don't know the words, but evidently the track worker didn't like it. But I'll paraphrase what I imagine it being. Okay, I don't have any verification. This is what it was said. But if it was me, I would have been like, dumbass, what are you doing? It might have been even more animated than that, because the guy stopped. They were able to pull the car away, push it back in the pits. Well, as they were changing the tire, as you can see, that official come and just blindsided the crew guy for shots and was swearing at him. And I think he basically, it was kind of funny, I guess. He says, watch your mouth when you're talking to me, or shut your mouth or shut your fucking mouth, I think, when you're talking to me, I think is what it was. And I'm like, first of all, you can't do that, right? That don't work that way. He's not a mime. Okay. But evidently it was heated. Have you witnessed it? We've been around racing a long time, right? Have you ever witnessed a track worker, or I shouldn't say track worker, because I don't believe they were a track worker from the Cedar Lake Speedway. So an official at an event go after a driver like that? Have you ever seen that before?
No, not like that. I mean, I've seen where, a driver is in their car and they stop on the track, and, you can see the official getting irritated and, yelling a little bit. But no, I've never seen anything where an official gets physical like that. And you made this point, in a text earlier, Tyler Erb got, a year suspension for, his antics that he did.
Track, not the same series, but WRG, World Racing Group, owns the world of all the late models, sprints, dirt car, all that. So Tyler Erb, yeah, you're right. He got kicked out for a year for running into a car, not hard, but making a scene. But I think he got kicked out when the official tried to get in, kind of was leaning in the car and he gassed it and the official fell over. I think that's what he got the year for. But then all of a sudden you see an official going after a driver. It's like, have you heard word? Has he gotten fired? He should get fired.
I mean, and officials, officials may not want to hear this, but officials need to be held to a higher standard than what drivers are held to. I mean, I'm not saying drivers should go out and, just wreak havoc, but, officials have to be held to a higher standard just because they're officials. I mean, they're supposed to, they look over the entire thing.
Right.
So, you just can't do that.
You're exactly right. Because if let's say the tables were turned and the official said something to the driver, and if that driver went after the official that same way, they'd be fined, they'd lose their points, they'd be suspended, there'd be heavy penalties, right? Okay. I haven't heard, right? I haven't seen any banter. I mean, we had a 4th of July weekend, so if anything happens, it'll likely be during the week here. But man, I mean, first of all, an official is one thing, but we've seen track promoters do some crazy things too, right? I mean, not just locally, but nationally, we've seen it. Nothing happens, right? Fergus Falls, the first time in the history of racing, I've seen a track suspend the owner of the track who is a driver. I've never seen anything like that before. So they kind of, however that all happened, they held themselves to that standard. But man, you're right. I mean, what's the penalty when an official or a track owner or track promoter does something? It's got to be, I don't even know what you would do there. So I'm sure if I were a betting man, there's going to be a position open. That person is probably no longer employed by the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars, but it was interesting. So let's jump.
Well, before we leave the sprint cars, I just have to make a mention that Scotty Thiel, who's from Wisconsin, finished in the top 10 both nights. So good run for him. he races a lot on the IRA Sprint Car Series, so it's good to see him have some success against the Outlaws.
Yeah, a pair of top tens for sure in outlaw action. That is a hell of a good weekend. Good catch on that one. So Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series, Florence, Portsmouth, and Muskingum. We talked about Florence already. I mean, it was the Josh Rice show. He started ninth. He just absolutely cruised to the win. Earl Pearson Jr. was running second, though broke. I'm not sure what he broke. Unfortunate for the 46. He had a really strong run going. And RTJ has been kind of a little bit on the rise here. Keep an eye on the 20 RT. And then Portsmouth. Did you get a chance to watch Portsmouth?
I just saw a little bit. I was at the races in Seymour, and it was there was a caution fest race going on the track. So I took my phone and I logged in to Flow to see where they were in the race, and there was only like 14 laps left, and there's only like 12 cars left in the race. And but the camera angles were like, you couldn't even see what was going on. It's like, what's up with this? Flow buys Mav TV and you can't get better camera angles in this. But then I guess what happened was there's lightning in the area, so they could only use the unmanned cameras at the end.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that happened. So I was wondering what's with that. I was wondering myself, but that makes a lot of sense. And RTJ did win. I mean, that's his first win in a long time. Was that his first win since Speed Weeks?
I'm not sure. It might have been. I'm not sure though.
Yeah, he won one down in Volusia. I don't think he's won since. He had a second, a third, and he got a second, a third, second, third, and I think he was right up front there, ran pretty well at Muskingum too. I don't remember exactly where, but he had a pretty solid weekend.
He had a right front flat tire, so he had to pull in, but he was running second or third when he pulled in.
Yeah, he was up there, so he's found some speed. And then another guy that we talked about, so we'll jump off Portsmouth. We'll go over to the track that Donnie Moran, the $1 Million Man, he the old $1 Million Man now, right? But he promotes that track over in Zanesville, Dresden area in Ohio. 30,000, the biggest payday that they've had to date at that racetrack. First thing that stuck out to me is the driver's intros. So Jeff Krause, he actually shot me a text. He goes, "Hey, super cool driver's intros. You got to check it out." And what they would do is they'd introduce a driver and they'd walk through the crowd and they high-fiving the fans, and they had all the cars parked in the front straightaway. I love that shit. I love it. That's to me, you have a big show like this, make it a big show. Do something special. So hats off to Moran for doing something cool over there. But we talked about this guy just couldn't find a win. And Lucas Oil, who finally got it done, Bert?
It's escaping me now.
Brandon Shepherd.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah. He started on the front row and led pretty much the whole thing. There is a lot of cautions in that race, and that's really dirty track.
Dirty. You were thinking it. I knew it was coming out of your mouth. Really gravelly, really dusty, hard to move around on a little bit. The intros were good, but another thing that stuck out to me, Brandon Shepherd's so well spoken, right? They interviewed him after the race, and just he's so humble, the way that he carries himself. I mean, it's hard not to be a Brandon Shepherd fan when you actually see somebody just down to earth. So super cool to see him pad that point lead a little bit. Finally found victory lane, and top three in that race, all Rockets, all XR1 Rockets. So he's looking forward now, right? We got the Gopher 50 coming up this weekend. We got Davenport first, right? And then we got the Gopher 50 3 nights at the Deer Creek Speedway. Could Brandon Shepherd be a guy to beat? Do you think that the point leader can maybe hit pay dirt again down there for the second week in a row?
Well, I have him winning the first night at the Gopher.
Okay.
But I don't have him winning any other races.
I'm kind of a hater. So that means Brandon Shepherd.
No, I'm not a hater.
He's a hater. So let's jump into a little Hell Tour. Let's jump into some Hell Tour action here. We won't go into a whole lot of details, but I tell you what, as far as entertainment value goes, we talked about this. They don't have as many big names as like the Lucas Oil Series, but highly entertaining racing. I mean, they were at Red Hill Raceway on Tuesday. Wednesday, they canceled. They were supposed to be at Benton Speedway in Missouri, and the track just, for whatever reason, it sounds like they didn't have any equipment. It was rough. They time trialed 3 cars, and they said, "Yeah, we're not gonna have a Summer Nationals race." They still ended up having a race. I found that kind of interesting. Maybe I don't even know what to think there. You got to give a donkey award to the track for not having equipment. I mean, it's a big race. It's a Hell Tour race. How do you not have equipment at the track? And I saw some pictures. Cars were off the ground, but we've seen that, right? Florence was a freaking cowboy up rough track, and they didn't cancel that. What's your thoughts on them canceling the Hell Tour portion of that event in Benton, Missouri?
Well, I mean, like you said, I mean, you don't see something like that happen all the time. And, you know, I agree with you. I mean, if you're going to have a race, you have to have the equipment there to be able to create a track that's able to host a race.
And it's Benton, Missouri, right? There's enough farm equipment and stuff around. They can find equipment, make a few phone calls. There's people that have stuff. Kind of interested to see that. So at Red Hill, Nick Hoffman, so let's just say this. Nick Hoffman is 12 of 14 in the races that he's entered in the UMP Hell Tour in the modifieds. Unreal. We'll talk about him in just a sec. The late models, Turbo made the trip over there to Red Hill Raceway. So that was interesting to see. And then Brownstown, Illinois, 17 mods, of course, Hoffman won. Shannon Babb, the Moequa Missile, I believe, Bert, isn't he the all-time winningest driver in UMP Summer Nationals history now? Didn't he tie Moyer last year? And I think this gives him the outright lead, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's over 100, right? So
yeah, I think it's 101
or 102.
Yeah. And then what's interesting is a guy that's been running good in his MB, Ryan Unzicker, he dropped off the tour. He didn't race all the races. He put a post out there, hey, we just have other commitments. You know, we just ain't going to make it to all of them. We're going to make it to a bunch. But Unzicker, who was second in Hell Tour points, dropped off the tour. Friday at Paducah, no Nick Hoffman. Trent Young won the mods, and smooth operator Bobby Pierce in the late models. Saturday, Lucas Lee in the mods, and the Squirrel Brian Shirley. That was at Clarksville. But Sunday, Bert, was, in my opinion, in many people's opinion, the best race so far in the Hell Tour. It was 16th event. There was a couple cancellations, but it was at the Lincoln Speedway in Illinois. And first of all, let's start with the mods. So this one here was a little tougher, right? Nick Hoffman started 20th in the mods. So, I mean, with all the good cars that were there, obviously he didn't win that one, right? Wrong. 20th to first. Nick Hoffman on a rail. Impressive run. That is on Dirt Vision. You might want to check that one out because that was a clinic by the Deuce. He drove by Mike McKinney to get it done. But probably the race of the week was a late model race there, Bert. So I'll kind of put it together. Pierce led most of that race, running right on the bottom. Smooth as could be. And every time they showed multiple times his dad with the stick signals, right? They like 3 times they were like focused on Bob Pierce. And Jason Fager was charging the high side, right? But you live or die by the cushion. That's for selling t-shirts. The bottom's for winning races, right? And Fager would get there, and every time that he was mounting a challenge, Bob Pierce is moving him. So what happened is on a yellow, Dad moved Bobby Pierce off the bottom. Pierce goes to the top, and 3 drivers drove by him. He's running the bottom. 3 guys, as soon as he goes to the top, 3 cars drive by him. He goes right back to the middle, clips Unzicker, spins Unzicker out. Okay. Unzicker was in second at the time. Now Unzicker stopped. He goes to the back, but they do make a call there. Whoever causes it also goes to the back. So Pierce goes to the back. And that leaves who? That leaves the high side hustler, Jason Fager, out front. Then you got Shannon Babb and Squirrel. Fager stayed up top, charging, looked good. But man, he couldn't make the same lap twice. He jumped the cushion a few times. Babb just about got him. Babb actually took the lead with like 1 or 2 to go inside of him. And then they got into lap traffic, and Babb kind of messed up. He overshot the bottom, and 3 and 4 slowed up the track. Fager won. A question I have for you. Did Bob Pierce cost the smooth operator, that feature win by moving him off the bottom?
I mean, it's possible. You know, you don't know if the other cars would have caught him. It's funny that you bring up pit guys signaling, because I was going to ask you a question. Because late in the race, you know, with only a few laps to go, probably 4 laps to go, Fager's crew guy was telling him to get to the bottom, and
Yes.
Fager did not get to the bottom. So my question to you is going to be, did you ever have a crew guy giving you signals, and did you always obey him, or did you do what felt comfortable to you?
I'm not going to say I always obeyed him, because my buddy Tonga would be calling me a liar. So, but he was good. We had a really good communication. Most of the time he could see what I couldn't see. So he could tell if somebody was quicker behind, like, so he would move me around a little bit. So most of the time, but there was a few times I'm like, you could maybe feel the bottom scotching up, and you're like, I ain't moving up because it's like matched here. Like, so there's certain times you're not, but Jason Fager, they call him the high side hustler, right?
Well, and I mean, with Fager too, I mean, some of it is also how your car is set up. I mean, if your car's not necessarily set up to run the bottom, if you do drop to the bottom, you may end up hurting yourself more than it's going to help you. So, but Fager did say in Victory Lane that Bab had a chance to throw a slider on him, and he didn't, and he appreciated that.
Well, here's the deal. So both of those two did everything they could to give the race away. Okay, I have literally won every race that I've watched on TV, every single one. I think that Fager's pit guy was correct in trying to get him to the bottom, because the bottom was definitely better, and that's where Bab was. He was trying to plug the bottom because Bab was good there, and if he would have went to the bottom, toned it down, stayed on the bottom, Bab wasn't going to get by him, right? He was going into protect mode. It worked out, but he gave it away. He jumped the cushion, he pushed, Bab got next to him. Bab should have won that race, but then Bab literally on the last lap, he went to the middle in 3 and floor. Like, he was on the bottom, and then he went to the middle. He didn't even go to the bottom. So if he would have went to the bottom, it might have been closer at the line, but it worked out. But it's one of those, it's like, I don't know. It's like they were both trying to give it away, but I gotta tell you what is cool, super cool, seeing Jason Fager find pay dirt, because I think that's his first of the year, you know, and he's a pretty good guy. I think everybody speaks very highly of him. So,
well,
really cool
and the announcers made reference to this, and I follow Jason Fager on Facebook, so his posts show up in my news feed, but he's must have had like 20 flat tires on this hell tour this year. He's constantly getting flat tires.
Yeah, you're right. He's had all kinds of bad luck. He had like fuel issues one night too. It's great to see him finally win. It's nice to see some different faces up there. So Jeff actually shot me some info. He shot me the schedule here for the Hell Tour coming up. And Puka wanted us to mention when the Macon 100 was coming up, right? That's Thursday. So Thursday is the Macon 100. That's the little bull ring, that 100 lapper. Friday at Farmer City, Saturday at Highland, and Sunday at Tri-City. So you gotta jump on Dirt Vision, because highly entertaining races. Of course, we're all going to be watching the Gopher 50. It's right down in Minnesota at Deer Creek, so that's going to be a great race to watch, some Lucas Oil action. But I think both of them will be worth turning the TV on for sure. So and miscellaneous here, Bert. One last thing I got to give a shout out. Ricky Weiss went to Tazewell, and he parked it in Victory Lane, a $5,000 payday from our friend from north of the border. Great to see that Sniper chassis get it done in the 7th. So let's move on, Bert. A blast to the past, brought to you by Impact Health Sharing. So if you're self-employed, if you pay for your own health care, if you don't have health care because it costs too much, shoot me a text, shoot me a message. I can get you a quote. Been able to save people thousands. Like I said before, family plans go roughly about $600 a month with a $2,500 family deductible. That's tough to beat. And you can go to any doctor. There's no in-network. It works all over the country. If you travel, even if you live in the United States, you go to Canada or Mexico, it works there. So Impact Health Sharing, hit me up. I can get you a quote. So number 36, I don't have a 136. Do you have a 136?
I do not have a 136, but I do want to, I'm looking ahead. I do have one for show number 525. So.
Oh, we have a little bit to go. That one, but we'll keep that one in your notes. I like the optimism. So, who do you got for number 36?
One of the all-time greats from Northeast Wisconsin, J.J. Smith, four-time Chateau Speedway track champion. He won 2 championships, and I got my little 1985 Chateau Speedway yearbook here that went through the history. Now I got to find the page, but he won the championship in 1970 and 1971, and then also in 1978 and 79. Okay. And he also raced, did some USAC racing back, USAC stock cars back in the 70s.
Nice. A little bit of history from the Bert Lehman over in Eastern Wisconsin. So I have 4. 2 of them I really don't have much on, but I remember watching them as kids. M.G. Johnson, a Wisconsin driver. He ran modifieds for a number of years. I remember him. He made a few trips up to the Hibbing Raceway for Labor Day. I think he ran Menominee, Rice Lake mostly, but I remember M.G. Johnson. Paul Hammernick, a guy that raced, I believe he raced Fountain City. I think he raced Marshfield a little bit. He was in an orange 36. I remember him in a late model. That would have been around the time, Bert, that MJ would come over to the Punky and stuff. Do you remember the orange 36 at all?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, we'll get a picture up here of him. And then somebody that we interviewed in one of our earlier episodes, of course, the Herminator, right? Kenny Wallace. I mean, how do we not have that 36? He's having a really good year. He's probably won more races this year, Bert, in his in his UMP modified than he's ever won in a single season. And of course, Kenny Wallace, one of the great commentators. I mean, obviously he had a NASCAR career, but I remember him mostly from NASCAR race day. I think that's what it was called, the pre-race before the NASCAR races. He was unbelievable on that. Just absolutely the energy that he had. I mean, it was just fit for him, and pretty cool that he's able to get after it on the dirt and race all around the country. And then another one I have, a guy that I competed with a bunch, and I have a little bit of a video clip I'm going to play here, right? So you can all watch it. You make the call. But a guy that was one of my arch nemesis in the super stocks, Darren Murado. He ran supers, former Labor Day shootout winner. He's won a bunch of stuff. He won races in a late model. And he was one of them guys, Bert, you just didn't really want to mess with too much because he had a short fuse, right? And he was a scrapper. Well, a buddy of mine that pitted for me, actually friends with the whole family, Matt Koski, this weekend at the G.O.A.T Speedway, he was playing a little kissy face, felt a little bit bold and daring racing with Murado, who really hadn't been out yet. He had a brand new TRC car, brought it out this weekend, brand new TRC Super on night number 2. He got, to me, it looked like he come through 3 and 4. He got into Koski down the front straightaway, got into Koski again. They come into turn 1 and 2, and you make the call, but let's just say that contact was made. The 36 snapped around and ended up upside down. And it's one of those things, you play with fire, it's a little bit bold and daring. I'm not going to say that he intentionally got into him, kind of a payback for hitting him, but it didn't look like he tried to avoid any contact either. So a little bit of an altercation there with Darren Murado in the 36, but still getting after it. And a guy that, he's one of them polarizing guys in the area. There's people that love him, people that hate him, and it's kind of, there's a lot of stories about Darren Murado, but I will say this, he's one of the more talented drivers that I competed against, and he wasn't afraid to use the bumper a little bit either. So, Bert, let's jump into a little who's hot and who's not, brought to you by Blue Line Brews. So coffee drinkers out there, they got K-Cups, they got regular coffee they can put in a machine, that are not K-Cups, several different blends, bluelinebrews.com, and 10% of all their proceeds goes to families of injured and fallen officers. A great program, especially 4th of July. Today we're doing the show. So patriotic, right? Because they support those who support us, the Thin Blue Line. Give Blue Line Brews a look. So Bert, who's hot?
I'm gonna stay local and go with Nick Avalink again this week, winning his 3rd Dirt Kings race. He did finish 5th on Saturday night at Shawano, but he started like 8th or 9th, and the track rubbered up a little bit at the end, so there wasn't a lot of passing late in the race. But I'm sticking with Avalink for who's hot.
Okay. I'm looking something up as we speak here. So I got two locals that I'm going to talk about while I'm looking this other one up. And the first one I'm going to go with is Kyle Dykov. Right now I have changed my pick. He looks to me like the guy to beat in Minnesota Street Stock National Point Action. 9 of his last 10, Bert, have been in the top 2. He's won 5 of his last 6. He's got 9 wins on the year. He leads Minnesota Street Stock in the win count. Kyle Dykov last year, to me, looked like he was one of the fastest Minnesota Street Stocks. He just made a lot of mistakes. This year, he seems to be minimizing those mistakes and turning those into wins. That 11 car, Zuli race engine under the hood, has been extremely fast. Another one that I have is Shane Sabraski. Bert, 18 shows in the Super Stocks, 15 wins. 15 wins. One was a DNF, one was a 2nd, and one was a 4th. Probably should retire after getting 4th. Not sure what the hell to think about that. 4 for 4 this weekend, including the farm stock special over at the ABC Raceway, both nights of the border battle. Shane Sabraski is about as close to unbeatable in that super stock as anybody. I mean, he's the mark. If you beat the 7A, you're doing something right, and you better write it on the calendar because it don't happen often. Now, the other one I have, Bert, Brandon Overton. He's been terrible. He did get 6th, right? But it was a distant 6th. He don't even look competitive. Like last year, like we talked about, he's on the verge of winning $1 million, and he got a DNF. He must have DNF'd at Florence, 12th at Portsmouth, and he got 6th at over in Zanesville. I'm telling you, can Brandon Overton turn it around in that 76?
Well, there's always
so the opportunity is no.
He's a good enough driver that he can turn it around. Obviously, the competition has caught on to whatever made him special last year, and so now it's just a matter of going back to the setup books and figuring out how to get the mojo back.
Yeah, he's on the struggle bus now. Who's not?
I'm going with Jimmy Owens. According
by
to
the way, that was one of my
that's what I figured. According to a schedule, he had the weekend off. I had to look that up because I didn't see him anywhere. But his races before that, the 13th, 18th, and 13th. I mean,
who's this?
Jimmy Owens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not Jimmy Owens. That's not what you expect from Jimmy Owens.
No, he's another one. He's another one that can turn it around. These guys are uber talented, but I mean, the level of competition at that level of racing, if you're off a little bit, you're off a ton, right? There is no off a little bit. You're either on or you're not. And
right.
That's where he's at right now. So I have a couple local guys here. I talked about Overton already. I'm going to go with Braden Brower. Okay, he was my pick to win the Minnesota Street Stock National title, and he's got 8 wins. It's not like he's doing horrible, okay? But that car's not good, okay? You watch that car, it has 0 forward traction, none. It's always loose. The car does not have any grip. I don't know what the hell they're doing, okay? I don't know if they switch cars. I don't know if they got a new shock program. I don't know what they got going on, but it's not working. There is something wrong with that 34. I said it last year about Sabraski, and he almost won a national title. I'm like, that car sucks. Okay, the only reason the 34 Junior is running up front is because Braden Brower is a good race car driver. The car's terrible. So they need to do their homework or they're no longer going to be in national championship contention because the car's just not good. Vogel's faster. Dykov is faster. Several are faster. He's a good racer keeping it up there. They got to figure something out. Another one that I have, Bert, is Mike Gresseth. Okay. He was a rookie last year. He won the NLRA points as a rookie. Mike, I love you, man, but I'm giving you a donkey award. Okay. Flat out donkey award to Mike Gresseth. He texted me, Bert, I'm not going back to that Grand Rapids, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, it must have sucked. Like, I'm like, I better jump on and watch. It was a little choppy, it was, but it was racy. They could run all over the place. It was racy. If he sees a bump in the track or a little bit of moisture, terrible. There's so much adjustments on these cars. Fix your car, make it faster, right? What are you going to do if it's a $10,000 to win race? I don't know if he's going to the Rumble or not, okay? But what if he gets down to, well, first of all, if he does go to the Rumble, that's an aggressive cushion sometimes at the Brown County Speedway. He might as well stay home. Don't go. You're just going to be mad because if you can't run on tack, cushion, or bumps, I don't know what to tell you, right? You can't be one-dimensional anymore. You're in a late model. Right. So what do? All of a sudden it rains the day before a $10,000 race. You just stay home. Well, I ain't going. The track's going to have grip on it. I'm not going. Fix your shit. Right. I watched the race. The race was good. There was passing. There's guys moving all over the place. Every time he hit a bump, the car shove his nose up the racetrack. I've seen other people say the same thing in the late model division. Fix your shit. Right. So you got to be versatile. And he's just not right now. So Mike Gresseth, calling you out, man. Get your shit together. Now, let's jump onto this one, Bert. Let's go to our lock of the week. Okay, he's a buddy of mine. He's gonna be mad at me. I'll be getting a text, but it's all good.
I didn't say a word. Just for the record, I didn't say a word.
Yeah, Bert told me to say all that. So, all right, let's get to our lock of the week. Right, our sure bet of the week, and of course, my lock of the week is Real Estate by Jay Schmidt. So if you're in the Watertown, South Dakota area, if you need land transactions, commercial, residential, whatever it may be, Jay's got over 20 years in the business community. He's been a businessman for the better part of his life. Great racing family, 3 generations of racers are heavily invested in the racing community. He's going to help you out. He's going to take care of you. Real Estate by Jay Schmidt, absolutely my lock of the week. So Bert, what is your lock of the week this week?
My lock of the week is Superman is going to fly into Minnesota and win the Gopher 50, the Saturday night, the final night portion.
One of us is going to be right. And I don't think it's going to be you. Okay, I'm sorry. He already got his big one. But Chris Smokey Madden is taking home 50 grand from Deer Creek. So we're going to find out. You got JD, I got Madden. Both of them got a good shot. There's going to be some good hot rods. I'm pretty interested to see who wins that. 50 grand to win's a lot of money. Go for 50, a historic race. It'll be pretty cool to see who gets her done. So let's jump into the last lap, Bert, brought to you by Zuli's Race Engines. And I've talked about many Zuli's drivers that won. Couple more. Dustin Puffy, pure stock win over in Bemidji. Kyle Dykov, fastest car in Wissota Street Stocks right now. Championship pace, 3 wins on the week. Jeff Nowak got a win at Tomahawk. Probably should have got a win at Red Cedar as well. Adam Martinson at Deer Creek. Blake Whitlock at Miller. Aaron Blacklands in the Midwest Mod at Greenbush and in the Street Stock at Grand Forks. Andy Rosso at Miller. And Brady Larson, Christmas in July at the Eagle Valley Speedway. 1-2 finish for Jaden and Billy Christ in the Street Stocks at Brown County, and Justin Vogel at the KRA Speedway. So I tell you right now, I mean, they just keep on stacking wins with Zuli Race Engines. If you can't beat them, join them. Check them out online. Check it out on Facebook. You'll see all the wins that they're getting. Get a hold of Frank. He'll take care of you. If you want to go faster, that's where I'd start right there. So let's start with this. Little sad news. Not little, a lot of sad news. The Fargo racing community, man, a tough couple weeks over there, right? I mean, Danny Schatz last week, that one was, I don't want to say expected, right? Because you never really prepared, but he had been battling health issues. So that was a little bit more expected. But Casey Arneson, the Arneson family over there, very, very strong in the racing community. Of course, him and Austin Arneson, Dell Arneson, heavily invested in the racing community, helps a lot of people. Tragic accident for Casey on an ATV. I don't know all the details. I don't, but let's just say this. I mean, everybody spoke very highly of him. I really never had an opportunity to meet them, but when you lose your life in the 20s, man, that's a tough deal, Bert. That's a tough deal.
Yeah, I mean, when I heard this news, it put me back a little bit because I actually interviewed Casey probably about 4 or 5 years ago. He was racing at the Clash at the Creek at 141 Speedway. And I interviewed him and wrote a story for Dirt Modified magazine that ran. And, so when I heard the news that he had passed, it really shocked me. And I mean, I remember from the interview, he just seemed like a down to earth guy. And, he was, like you said, he was from a racing family, racing was in their blood. I remember that from speaking with him. So, I was just shocked when I heard that. And obviously our condolences to the family.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers to everybody in the racing community and his family, everybody that knew him, all his friends and family. Deuces to the deuce and Godspeed. So let's jump on to the Flow and Mav, right? So all these streaming platforms, and it's like, man, you got to have 800 different platforms nowadays. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. We saw a little bit of something maybe coming down the pipelines, but nothing had been official. I don't really know how it worked. Did Flow purchase Mav, or how did that work?
I'm not sure what the details are, but basically, all the races that were going to be on Mav are going to be on Flow Racing now. And which for us, the important thing is the Lucas races are going to be on Flow. And like you said, I mean, there's all these different streaming platforms, and oh yeah, it's only 19 whatever a month. But when you start, if you have to get 5 or 6 of them, that starts to add up. So I like to see, I'm glad to see this on Flow. And I mean, I just hope that it doesn't cause Flow to have to up their subscription price in the future. But I mean, you can't beat the price of Flow. I mean, don't be scared by the $150 a year. If you break that down per month, it's probably the cheapest package you can get, and for what you get for that is just amazing.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. So that's cool to see that. That's just a little bit less money we got to spend next time. So that's good. And then also this week, so the structural building Wasota Late Model Challenge Series has 3 races this weekend. 2 at Aberdeen, Brown County Speedway, 1 at the Casino Speedway. But Bert, it's Dakota Rumble week. So an event that rained out last year, right? It did not happen last year, and it had not happened for several years. Terry Volts, now part of the promoter group at the Brown County Speedway, has brought that event back, and they have a pair of 3,000 to win Challenge Series races, and the winners in the top 14 in passing points from both heat races, somehow that kind of format, are locked into an additional feature. So not only will they have 2 Challenge Series races, they're going to have another feature that is kind of a combined thing for $10,000 to win. So that is going to be on Dirt Race Central, watchdrc.tv. You're going to definitely want to check that out. We actually are picking. We made picks this week for the Rumble. I think you copied me. I made a pick, and I only did it to go against the grain because I thought everybody else was going to pick the guy that I really wanted to pick. But who do you think is going to win the Rumble?
Well, I picked Ken Arment. I didn't even see your picks before I made mine.
That's who I picked, was Ken Arment. So we're both either going to win or lose on this one. But right now, I mean, let's say Backer's fast, Skorcheski's a sleeper. The smart money, I mean, Arment is quick this year. He's fast. Remember,
well,
he gave 1 away, that being light, gave 2 away, right? So he should have won that 5,000 win race at Huron, was light. will this be redemption, or Cole Searing has been rocket fast. Cole, I'm telling you, like, I wish I could go back and change my pick, but I'm going to keep it because I put it down because I don't want to jinx him. But Cole Searing, I'm telling you what, he's got to be the guy to beat. Go ahead.
I'll tell you how I made my pick. I mean, I didn't know if anybody from Western Wisconsin or Minnesota was going to go there. So it's like, okay, I got to take somebody local. So I went to my race pass and looked at the point standings at that track. Saw Arment was leading the point standings. So, okay, I'll take him.
There you go. Well, Searing hasn't raced every night there, right? So I don't know if Searing's been there at all this year, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure. But Cole Searing has been, I tell you, big players show up at big moments, and he's been every big moment this year. He's been a player. Should be a good race. Over and under. I'm talking when I say Western Wisconsin, we'll count the city's cars, your Cedar Lake, Menominee group, right? Your Demels, Mars, Kanta, Radetzky, G.O.A.T, Glens, that group, right? Over and under on that group of drivers on attending the Rumble. I'm going to put that number at 5.
I'm going to go under.
You're going to go under? God, I hope it's more than that. I mean, that kind of money on the line, a pair of 3000s, both challenge series. I'm going to go over because I'm the eternal optimist. And I'm pretty sure that our buddy Jordo there, right? Jordan Tollickson, buyraceshirts.com, Outlaw Graphics. I'm pretty sure he's going to be there. And he's been fast. Kind of had a rough break over at Cedar Lake, but I expect to see him pretty quick over there.
I mean, I can remember when the Rumble was such a big deal. And I mean, you'd get like 10 cars from the Cedar Lake, Menominee area to go there. But I checked Jimmy Marr's schedule today, and according to his schedule, he's not going there, and he's not going to the Gopher 50. So,
really?
According to his schedule.
Yeah, and that could change. You know, I would have to think. I know he doesn't really like that Lucas stuff, so I mean, I can see him not going there. But when there's that kind of money in the line, I'd be surprised to see the 28 stay parked. And the 58, we'll see. I would expect maybe Lance Matthews to head over. He usually supported them shows over there. I guess we'll find out. That kind of, you think about that kind of caliber, it kind of brings me to the power rankings, which I have everything put together. So keep an eye out. Next week, we're going to do a short stint of the power rankings. So it's the buyraceshirts.com power rankings. I'm just going to give you a little tidbit right now going into this weekend. The street stocks, I'll just give you number 1. I'm going to give everybody a little gift. Number 1 right now in the street stocks, Kyle Dykov. Number 1 right now in the Midwest mods, Jake Smith. Number 1 by a long shot in the super stocks, Shane Sobraski. Number 1 in the modifieds, I'm telling you, Bert, that has been super, super tough. I'm gonna have, just off of this fresh off of his big win, I'm gonna put Jody Belfi in the hunt, but that one is a little bit tighter because there hasn't been as much. And in the late models, hard to bet against the 28. The 58 only has like one show. Cole Searing has showed up in big moments. I'm putting Cole Searing at the 1 spot right now in the buyracers.com power rankings. Keep an eye out for that coming up next week. Another thing happening this week, Bert, is Tyler Kittner, powerhouse up here in the Midwest mods. They had last year Palmer's Tavern, sponsor of his. He's actually getting married to the primary manager / owner of Palmer's Tavern, Brooke. They're getting married this fall, but they had the Palmer's Kittner Racing pit party at the Hibbing Raceway. It was epic. I mean, there was people at the Hibbing Raceway last year at that event that never go to the races. So they did their part in bringing people in. They're doing round 2 this weekend at the Hibbing Raceway. If you like to have fun after the races and party, you got to get to the Hibbing Raceway and get down in the pits afterwards. I know that High on the Hog Barbecue is going to be there. It's going to be a great night at the Hibbing Raceway. Another shout out here, I want to give shout out to the Bemidji Speedway because it's one of the few tracks, Bert, that every time there's a parade or community gathering, the drivers from that racetrack get out and they get their cars in those parades. Saw several pictures from the Bemidji parade for the July 4th weekend. Hats off to them. Mason Aaron sent me a picture or tagged me in Facebook. Aaron Blacklance, who's got a pile of wins this year. He put together a little car show here this past week and had several cars over. So that was great to see. So great to see some of these drivers and tracks doing other stuff to get some involvement in the community. A little bit of, I don't want to call it controversial, but interesting news, Bert. We talked last week, right, about Kyle Hammer dropping off the World of Outlaw late model tour, right? My sources tell me that the reason why, because it cited right on Facebook that him and his dad got into a disagreement. It said right on Facebook. That's public knowledge, okay? Sources say that there was a race, and I don't know which one, but he wasn't running good or something, and dad was trying to, with the stick signals or whatever, trying to get him off the track, but just pull in, right? And he wouldn't pull in. He just kept racing. Dad went up to the official and said, hey, all over the headset on this yellow, get my kid off the track, right? Sources tell me that it was something on the order of, hey, Kyle, Daddy wants you off the racetrack, or hey, Kyle, your dad wants you off the racetrack. He pulled off, embarrassed, right? Because it's like, well, Daddy wants me off the track. He was mad, right? And I guess there was a flat out, almost a big old brawl between father and son, and those are two big boys that I would not want to get in the middle of. But from that point forward, they said we're done, and they're done racing, and I guess it's just a shit show over there. So disappointing, because I was kind of looking forward to seeing if he could run up front. So little interesting news in the Kyle Hammer camp. Now, current standings in our weekly picks, Bert. Puka's at 86, Jeff's at 84. I think you got 4 points this week, didn't you? Did you get 4?
Yeah. Yes.
You got the most. A few of us got 2. I'm at 77. I don't think this is right. I think you're ahead of me, aren't you?
I don't know. I wasn't sure if that was right either.
I think you're at 77 and I'm at 76. I think that's what it is. I think I forgot to change the name. So Puka's Puka and Jeff are quite a bit ahead of us. You jumped into third. Mike's at 39. Brad's at 28. Now Mike, he's like, I picked Sheldon. I get a point. Mike. I watched the video, and my boy Brad Sweet beat your guy. Just is what it is. You don't get a point. Sorry. Okay. So that's just not how it works. Okay. Unless they were screwing us on those creative editing on video, but I don't think that happened. So this week we're picking 6 events, World of Outlaw sprint cars at the 34 Raceway in West Burlington and Wilmot, Wisconsin as well. Not too far south from you, a couple hours. Lucas Oil late models at Davenport, and 3 shows at the Go for 50. A couple of them for $5,000 to win, I believe, and $50,000 to win on Saturday. And we're going to pick our first Wissota late model event of the year. I believe it's our first, but we're going to pick the $10,000 to win Wissota late model Dakota Rumble at the Brown County Speedway. And the other thing that's coming up, Bert, that started tonight. Remember, it's Monday night, July 4th. Happy 4th of July to everybody. I hope you had a great holiday. But thinking of Casey Arneson and the Arneson family, the Dakota Classic Mod Tour started tonight in Jamestown. So that's this week as well out in North Dakota. And I believe they head up to Manitoba or Saskatchewan. They're over that direction anyway. They got like 6 nights in a row. So that should be pretty good racing as well. Out of everything going on this week, Bert, what are you most looking forward to?
Well, locally, I'm looking forward to local late models racing for 2,500 at Shawano. Not sure if it's really going to bring any extra cars or not, but I guess if it doesn't, the money will stay local and a local driver will get it. So locally, that's what I'm looking for. Nationally, probably the Go for 50. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of history behind that race. I mean, this race used to be held at Owatonna, correct?
It did.
So nationally, that's what I'd be looking forward to.
So I mentioned that Chad Becker was ready to rumble. Tonight he started on the pole and got 3rd at Huron. Chad Olson, 8th to 1st. There's a sleeper pick out there. Cole Searing, looks like he started 7th and got 2nd. So that happened tonight. And I want to check the modifieds here just really quick. Mike Stearns, extra shout out to Mike Stearns, 4 straight feature wins for the 24 out in South Dakota. So he's on a tear out there. And I'm going to look at one more thing here, Bert. Street stocks, Kyle Dykov again. How about that? He is on a tear. That's 4 for him this past week as well. And Midwest Mods, Matt Heinzerling. So familiar faces, go figure, up front in the out at Huron, South Dakota. This weekend, Bert, if I had to say what I'm looking forward to, it's a Dakota Rumble. There's some really good late models out there. I'm really hoping. I don't think there's any NLRA stuff going on this weekend, so I'm hoping you get Gresseth, who's a good race car driver. I don't know if Strand's going to make it down, but hopefully they get some of those guys. I could see maybe Dave Moss making his way over there, right? I could see maybe Don Shaw making his way over there, Cole Schill, Jordan Tollickson. I wouldn't be surprised to see Kanta and Matthews, maybe Radetsky. I'm hoping they get a good turnout. You know, you put that kind of show on, you put that kind of money on, you know, and I will say this, I've had my differences with Terry Volz. There ain't no secret behind that. I don't get along with him the best, right? But I will say this, he's always been a proponent of when he's going to have a big paying show, he wants that money to be able to go to drivers that race at that track weekly. So that's what the Dakota Rumble is all about, is if we're going to have a 10,000 a win show, let's make sure that it's one of our guys that can race our track weekly that have a chance to take that 10,000 home. I gotta be honest, I support that. I'm excited for that. So watch DRC. Dirt Race Central will have the action for the Dakota Rumble. That's what I'm most looking forward to. So Bert, any closing thoughts on episode 136?
No, just everybody happy 4th of July. Like you said, we're recording this on the 4th of July. I can actually hear the fireworks going off outside my house right now. So
and the dog's not barking.
The dogs aren't barking, but they're down in the basement sleeping on the recliner.
There you go. Well, I tell you what, man, always a pleasure talking racing. There's a lot to look forward to. Fans, get out to a track. Get to the track, because we love streaming, right? Because it gives us a chance to watch a lot of races. But the fact is, these races won't happen without butts in the seats. So get to the tracks. If you can't get there, jump on your favorite streaming platform. My favorite streaming platform, of course, is Dirt Race Central. There's a lot of good ones out there that carry a lot of action. Huge thanks to all of our sponsors that support us, all the fans for watching. Hopefully we gave you a little bit of something to kind of pass the time here this week, and look forward to episode 137. I'm Ryan. That is Bert. Thanks for tuning in to the One to Go Show.